Israel marking 1 year since Hamas launched their horrific and barbaric October 7th attacks, which saw 1,200 innocent Israelis slaughtered and making it the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Earlier, Vice President Harris and Second Gentleman Imhoff marking the grim anniversary by planting a pomegranate tree at their residence, a fruit that symbolizes good wishes for the new year in Judaism. However, Vice President Harris is taking some criticism over what she said on 60 Minutes about Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Watch this.
Do we have a real close ally in Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I think, with all due respect, the better question is, do we have an important alliance between the American people and the Israeli people? And the answer to that question is yes.
Greg, she decided to recast the question. Might have been best that she just answered the question yes or no, then recast. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, I don't care about that, really. I would rather talk about what's going on today. Mm-hmm. You know, there are protesters at Wall Street, at Columbia, 1,000 of them. Anti-Israeli protesters on the day, the year anniversary. Did you ever think you'd see that in America? Protesting against the victims of the worst act of terror that we've seen with our own eyes. The evidence is there. You can easily look it up. Women raped, babies murdered in front of their parents. Yet somehow people can get up out of bed, put on their clothes, go outside, and mark that event by cheering for their killers. You know, we used to always reflexively worry about Islamophobia. Now we just stand silently by while Islamist terror is championed in our streets. What door have we opened here? It's hard to look back on October 7th, but you should. You should look at the photos with fresh eyes. It's going to ruin your day. But I did because I had to be reminded that I'm not in the position to criticize what Israel does. If it were me, I would have blown the whole place up, which is why I'm not in a position of leadership. You know, if Israel wants to eliminate all of Hamas, Hezbollah, you do it, you do Israel, because my feeling is no one can look at those photos of October 7th and then go out in March. So they're not. They're in a state of denial. And anybody who questions the support for Israel in saying it's nuanced, remember that there are Americans who also died on October 7th. There are ones that are still hostages there. And as long as that's the case, we're in. You know, remember what we gave up for Brittany Griner. We traded an arms dealer for her, and he's already back arms dealing. So we paid a lot for that hostage. You know, we shouldn't treat any of the hostages any less just because, you know, they aren't a WNBA player.
Dana, what are your thoughts on this solemn day?
Well, you mentioned that she recast the question, but she could have recast it in a different way, too, which is to do what I think would have been the correct thing to do. Always, as I learned, you praise your allies in public and you criticize in private. And she could have said, I've had those conversations with the leader who is trying to do his best to protect his country. And as a leader of this country, I would do the same. And I would make sure we were on offense against terrorism. You will not have to have a restless night if I'm your commander-in-chief, because I will protect us. There's lots of ways that you could have recast it. She decided not to. I wish that we could understand as a country, and I'm thinking of those protesters too, that what do they want? What does victory look like to them? And to me, victory is the goal to stamp out terrorism, and then peace is possible after you achieve the victory. That's the other thing. And I also think that the way that 60 Minutes asked a question, they asked another one in which he asked, is Netanyahu listening to you? It's a great question, because if they think that he's done all of these bad things, that means that the Biden-Harris administration has been completely ineffective from the beginning. Last thing I would say is Tom Cotton tweeted last week, I served with Kamala Harris on the Intelligence Committee for 4 years. She was just as reckless and naive about national security in private as she has been as vice president. If you take that comment with what Andrea Mitchell was saying about the business community not taking her seriously, now you have the two main pillars, the economy and national security, with people not taking you seriously. I'd have answered it differently.
Judge, your thoughts?
There has been a 200% rise in anti-Semitic hatred and hate crimes in the United States in the last year. And on a solemn day like today, I think we need to recognize that given that that's going on in the United States of America, and given that they are stopping Jewish students from going on campus and going to school on campuses where their parents paid for their education, we have to recognize that this administration is not supporting Jewish students and Jews in America right now. Because it's not just a question of the war, it's a question of the political culture, where the White House comes out and says, you're not going to do this. You're not going to create this hatred toward Jews in this country. But, you know, I think that I would have asked a follow-up question if she refused to answer the question about whether or not Netanyahu was a close ally of the United States. I might have said to her, well, is there someone else in the Middle East that you consider an ally of the United States? Who in the Middle East is an ally? Because, and we all know this, elections have consequences. And the Middle East was at peace after the Abraham Accords. And ask yourself a question. The Abraham Accords, and you know this better than anyone here, Harold, it was all about forming an alliance against Iran in the Abraham Accords, where the Gulf states were going to do business with Israel. Who has changed in terms of leadership from when President Trump was there and now where Biden is there? No one. All the world leaders are the same other than Biden and Trump. Trump had the Middle East at peace. Biden has his war. Why? You release the billions and you let them, you release the sanctions, you let them sell oil, you let the people who hate Jews in America continue to do what they're doing. And this is my message to Netanyahu on a day like today. You know, they said that he was unpopular. Right now, he is the most popular politician in recent history in Israel. And the reason for that is because the Israelis see him as a fighter. And if Americans can't say he's a close ally, given the fact that he's not just fighting them for Israel, he's fighting Hezbollah and Hamas for us. Israel has to be allowed to win. Israel has every right to win. They shouldn't be pulled back and told what's proportional. Too much relies on this.
Primetime, bring us home here.
Well, everybody around the table has made such insightful statements. It's just an honor to be here. We're looking for statesmanship, stateswomanship, and she just can't deliver. You know it when you see it. Yep. She just doesn't have it. Israel's a democracy. If they elect a far-right leader, a far-left leader, doesn't matter who it's going to be, they're going to be our ally. She doesn't understand the relationship we have with the Israeli people. We get all of our intelligence in the Middle East from them. We share the same goal. We don't want Iran to nuclearize. We definitely have a great trade relationship, and we sell them tons of weapons. It's a great, maybe not a great of a relationship as Great Britain or Australia or Japan, but they are right up there. All she has to say is what Dana said. We have frank discussions. We don't agree on 100% everything, but we have their back, and that's all Israel wants to hear. She's managed to alienate Jews and Muslims. It's like, how do you do that? Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.